So let me just move forward to that part. Okay. So kanina nga as mentioned, carbon has four valence electrons based on its electronic configuration. Okay. Iba yung, if you're going to go back to chemistry 1, if you still remember your chemistry 1 or your basic chemistry, um, teka lang, ako lang tong manuscript ko. One of the components there is, okay. So as mentioned, the electronic configuration of our carbon is 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 2p2. Okay? So, yan po yung kanyang electronic configuration. Now, since we're talking about the electrons on the outermost energy level, so we're going to consider those that are lying on the second energy level. So, that's 2 electrons on the S, 2 electrons on the P. That's why we have 4 dots on our screen. Okay? Okay. Now, when it comes to bonding, these four actually will be able to bond with other electrons, making it or fulfilling the octet rule that there should be 8 electrons in the outermost energy level. So, four will be coming from its own electrons, and the other four will be coming from other elements. Now, it may be the same element, it may be coming from multiple elements at the same time. So those are the scenarios that may happen. Now, what are the characteristics of organic compounds? The first thing is that they are nonpolar. So when you say nonpolar, they do not dissolve in polar substances like water. That's why we have that song in Filipino, yung tubig at langis, hindi sila talaga magmi-meet. Okay? Unless you place something in between to make them dissolve. Okay? So here, you have the structure of water. Yan. Now, always remember when it comes to dissolution or dissolving some compounds and substances, the rule is like dissolves like. So, polar will only dissolve polar, non-polar will also dissolve other non-polar substances. Okay? Now, another one, nawala yung iba. Okay. Number one is that they have low melting points due to the weak electromolecular forces. Yan. Okay? So, the force that comes between them, bakit na nawala yung tatlo? Wait lang guys, wala yung dalawang na in between. Anyway, tingnan lang natin, may review ko na lang ulit to. Okay? So, they have the weak intermolecular forces are actually the one that's making them interact with other carbon-carbon based compounds. So, yung bond between carbon-carbon is strong, while the bond that is connecting those two carbon-carbons are considered as weak bonds. Okay? And they react slower than ionic compounds due to the strong covalent bonds between atoms, which is quite true. Okay? That's why if you will notice yung mga anything that's nonpolar like oil, alcohol, um, ano ba? Ether, they do not react right away. Okay, you have to break down the molecular forces or the bonds between the covalent atoms before you could be able to have a bond with them. Now, in terms of representing your structural formulas, in terms of 2D, you can actually show the patterns and shapes of the molecules. So, for example, you have their carbon with four hydrogens attached to it. So, you just simply add their a line showing the bond. Okay. So in presenting this, it always remember that the carbon is found in the center and the short line represents the pair of electrons. Okay. So for this one, if we're going to be discussing or drawing this one, we all know that methane is CH4, right? So anyone who'd like, this will be, sige, ano na lang natin, diretso na natin. Yes, Winshore. Would you like, yes, go ahead.
C po as a middle po, while
Okay.
yung H po as a taas, baba, left and right po.
Okay, like the one that we showed earlier, right? Yung pinakita ko kanina. Okay. So yan yun usually what's gonna happen. That's gonna show. Now, how about if you're having chloroform? Okay. Rahina, Kosikol.
Ano po, ma'am? Am I audible po?
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Carbon po, ma'am, nasa middle. Then you have chlorine on the right and left side, and then dun po sa lower. And then hydrogen po sa taas po.
Okay, thank you. Ako medyo grounded ang connection mo. So, yan po. And then, how about ethane? Sorry, napindot ko na si ethane. Ayan po si ethane. So, ethane is two carbons with hydrogens attached to it. Okay? So, always remember, carbon can have four bonding site. Kaya nga pagdating sa organic chemistry, guys, yung numbering namin, napipigil na sa hanggang 4. Pag nagsulat kami, carbon 1, 2, 3, 4. Tapos ulit ulit, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, hindi na kami nagpo-progress pagdating sa pagbibilang. Hanggang 4 na lang kami pagdating kay carbon. Okay? So, there are different type of bonds. So, always remember you have, it's not gonna be similar to ionic and covalent, but this time what type of covalent bonds that are present inside organic compounds. So, you have single bonds, and usually you have only one pair of electrons. Okay? Then, if you're going to draw this, so you have there carbon-carbon. Yan. So, yung apat na carbon, sila yung nag-bond. And that is already a single bond. Again, the single bond is between two carbons. Okay? And the other one is a double bond. So, you have now two pairs of electrons to form the double bond. So, you have there, yan. Okay, now you will also notice here is that the number of electrons that are bonds that can be available for hydrogen is now going to be limited just to two because the other one is shared to form the double bond. Okay, yan po. And then the last one is triple bond. So pag triple bond means three pairs naman tayo. Okay, and therefore, you only have one electron or one bond available for hydrogen. So, yan po yung naging instructor niyan. Yan. Okay? Now, in terms of type of bonds, we have also different kind of compounds. We have what we call the saturated and the unsaturated. So, when you say saturated, it is single bonded. Okay? So, an example of that one is methane. So, yan, puro single lang siya. Although single lang siya, and another one is ethane. Yung kanina na sinulat natin, di ba si ethane? Hindi si ethane ha, ethane. Okay, dalawang carbon. Okay? Or pwede rin yun, no? C, basta kailangan between the C carbons, yan natin ang chlorine, hydrogen, hydrogen, chlorine. Gawin natin chlorine. Yan. Hala, ano yun, ma'am? Basta importante dito is that in between the carbons, it is single bonded. Okay? Then the other one is the unsaturated. So pag sinabi unsaturated, it is multiple bonds. So double or triple lang siya. Hindi po tayo pwede magkaroon ng 4 bonds. Okay? Puro double bond lang po siya. Okay? Kasi hindi na po kasama si carbon sa diatomics. So, yung si diatomics, these are compounds that you cannot exist alone. They need, parang may kailangan siyang may ka-clone para siya mag-exist. Okay? So, an example of this one is ethene for double bond. So, ayan po si ethene. And then, if you want to have a triple bond, you have ethyne. We will talk about ethyne later on. So ito, just to show you, dalawang carbon. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pagdating dito, it's also 1, 2, 3, then 4. So, ito po si ethyne. Okay? So, yan po. So, ito, double bond, triple bond. Okay. Now, any questions so far, guys, before we move forward? Kaya pa? Wala si Tikman at na-disconnect. Para may issue yata sa connection niya. Kaya pa, Rika?
Ma'am, di ko po sure. Parang nadi-disconnect din po ata ako.
Sige, sige, sige. Although this is ano naman 'to, madali lang 'to. At least malaman ninyo by identifying the different functional groups, magbibilang kayo ng number of carbons, you'll be able to name it, okay? So, let's see. Tingnan natin, paalala na lang. Okay, now moving forward, we're gonna be discussing this time about the type of formula. So we all know in general chemistry, we say formula, this is a way to represent the number of electrons and or the number of atoms if each element is present inside a compound. So we have actually three, if I'm not mistaken. Teka, let me double check. Yeah, you have actually six ways of showing your formula. So you have what we call the molecular formula. Now, this is the common way of showing the number of electrons, number of compounds or elements inside a compound. Okay. Then you have the empirical formula. Now, empirical formula is related to molecular in the sense that empirical is the simplest ratio of the molecular formula. So, for example, C C2H4. Let's say C2H4. Wag na ng C2H4, wag yan. Medyo ano, tama ba yung ano, sample ko? CH3, then C2H6, yan. C3H9. Okay, so this is an example of molecular. Pwede itong molecular. Pero if you're going to get the ratio or the empirical formula of C2H6, it's gonna be 2 times C2H3. Okay? So, yan po yung magiging empirical formula. Now, the difference between the three, pagdating kay condense, is actually going to show how each element is going to be bonded according to the compound itself. Okay? So, usually, this is an example of a straight chain. So, it's just gonna be combining all of it kung saan sila nakakabit. So, for this one, instead of showing it as CH3, as C, then meron kang apat na hydrogen, kinondense na siya dyan. Okay, then CH2 should be C, yan, and then CH, and then C double bond O, OH. Okay, ito dapat ito yung tinatawag natin kasing structural formula. So if you go to the displayed formula rather. So if you're going to look at the displayed formula, ito yung mismong itsura niya. Okay? So yung condensed formula is actually condensing all of the elements that are present, okay? Para siyang pinaliit na structural formula. The structural formula actually shows the type of bond that is present by giving you lines, double lines, and triple lines. Unlike in the condensed, wala na po yung linya. Okay? Displayed formula, yan yung mismong naka-spread out lahat. Kitang-kita mo lahat ng bonds and available. Then you have the skeletal formula wherein the carbon is no longer showing, so wala na si C dyan. But what is displayed here now is or what the students that are taking up organic chemistry, they understood that at each angle, yung mga bawat dulo na yan, bawat peak or bawat row ng mga skeletal formula contains a carbon and the actual number or the correct number of hydrogens. So, hindi na natin nakita si C at saka yung tatlong H. Basta meron ka na lang isang dulo, pangalawang peak. So, ito yung pangalawa, pangatlo, and then ito yung C double bond OH, and then this is the OH. Okay, wala pong carbon siya kasi si OH ay nakakabit dun sa C na may double O, also known as the carbonyl. Okay? So, yan po yun sa formula. Question so far, guys? Clarification?
Po.
Thank you. Okay, so this is actually how we name it. Usually, we base it on the number of carbons inside the compound. So, we use the break prefixes. So, you have met, eth, prop, but, pent, hex, hept, oct, non, and deca or dec. Now, like the Greek prefix, if you go beyond 10, you have undeka, 11 if you have undeka, dodeca for 2. So it's similar to the Greek prefixes. Okay? Now, in terms of combining your compounds, usually they can come into different types of groups with based on their structures and properties. So always remember the characteristic of organic compounds or hydrocarbons. When we say hydrocarbons, you have a combination of carbon and hydrogen. Okay. So as the molecule of the hydrocarbon increases, the boiling point and the freezing point increases as well. Okay. So again, as mentioned, hydrocarbons are organic compounds that consist only of hydrogen and carbon atoms. Wala pong iba. Okay, so example niyan is ating methane. Okay, so ayan ulit. And this is our ethane. Yan. Now, let's classify our hydrocarbons. So you have the first one is called the alkanes. So ang general formula is CnH2n plus 2. So N tells you about the number of carbons and this is now going to be multiplied to 2 plus 2 to get the number of hydrogen. And take note, pag alkane, single. Wala siyang boyfriend, wala siyang girlfriend. And it has the suffix ane. Okay? So this is classified as saturated. Kaya as mentioned earlier, saturated single. So if you're going to look here on the different compounds shown at the bottom, you have methane following the prefix met, that isa lang. Eth, pag dalawa, prop. Okay? So again, look at the bonds in between carbons. Lahat sila single. Okay, single. Wala ito. Okay? Okay, so let's have our first learning check. Given that you have alkanes, formula is CnH2n plus 2. Okay. What would be, kahit ano nyo na lang, isulat nyo na lang sa ating transcript, yung doon sa ating in-call messages. Kung 5 siya, ano yung magiging formula? And then kung 20, what would be the formula? Okay. Okay. Go. Okay lang, wait lang guys ah. Masyadong malakas. Sige. Sabay nyo na Jana and Kathleen, sana pagsabay nyo na yung para isang tingin na lang. Kasi I have problems with my I might need to restart my PC later on. Hindi gumagana yung ibang mga ko. Tawag to? Yung mga embedded applications ko or yung mga extensions ko. Okay. Okay, everybody has already typed in. Okay, so I guess lahat na nakasulat na. Tingnan nga natin. Sana yung iba nakaka 2, 3. I think lahat na nakasulat. Medyo marami-rami na to. Okay, so the answer for this one is for... Saan yung aking Yan. Okay. So for the first question, it's C5H12. Okay, so that's 5 carbons, then 5 times 2 plus 2, giving you C5H12. And then for C20, it's C20H42. Okay, so that is our number of carbons that we have for the given set of examples. Okay, any questions so far? Questions, clarifications, violent reactions so far, guys? None. Thank you. Nadali pa naman, no? Maganda kung ganun, kung madali-dali ba siya. Okay, next.
Hmm. Linear organic compounds.
Norhana, naka-on. Bakit Norhana? Okay. So, in naming it, we also have a uniform. Okay, meron siyang pamantayan sa pag-name it ng tama. And it's actually named according to the IUPAC, which is the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, in terms of nomenclature or naming system. So, for alkanes, it ends in ANE, alkenes ends in ENE, and alkynes ends in YNE. So, lahat ng mga compounds na may single bonds ANE, ENE for double bonds, YNE for triple bonds. So this time, let's talk about the second type of compound na under sa hydrocarbon. So this one is our alkenes. So take note of the formula, it's CnH2n. So wala nang plus 2. Okay? Kasi po, yung plus 2 dapat na extra hydrogen napunta ngayon to form the second bond or the double bond. Okay, again, it's a double bond between carbon to carbon. Okay, now you have to identify, kaya nakasulat doon, address needed for the carbon location. We say address, saang carbon siya nakapwesto. And take note, it ends with ENE, and the rest will be filled with the hydrogens. Okay? Yung except for the unsaturated kasi meron na siyang double bond doon. So, let's take this example. Okay? So, ito si propylene. Okay? Or, yeah, propylene or propene. Etong nasa baba, guys, is common name. Okay? Etong nasa taas is IUPAC. Kasi tingnan nyo, it follows the standard that was mentioned earlier. Although it's ending with LENE, pero ito kasi, it's not following the Greek prefix naming. Okay. So, this is propene. Yan. So, you have a double bond here. Now, ma'am, hindi na po siya nilagyan. Okay. In some organic books, bakit wala siyang 1, but ito may 1, but ito may 2? Yung ibang libro kasi, once na nakakita kayo ng walang number 1 sa harapan, it means it's already understood that the carbon is in the first or the double bond is located on the first carbon. So for this one, ito yung first carbon. Okay? So ito si 2, ito si 3. So understood yung kaagad. So dito, si butene, although yung iba, as I mentioned, some books do not include this anymore. They just write it up as butene. Pero this one, you have to identify it because the carbon is situated between carbon number 2 and number 3. Now, you might be asking for the basa ng first one. Okay, Norhana. Okay. Now, you might be asking, ma'am, bakit hindi sa 3? Okay, bakit 2? Okay, there is one of the ruling in terms of IUPAC is that you have to have the lowest set of numbers. So, ano ang mas mababa? Siyempre, compare mo sa 2 and 3. Therefore, ang pinakamababa ay ang number 2. So, kaya mas ginagamit natin yung 2-butene. Okay? Later on, we will have some more examples on how to name it properly. Okay? So, identify muna tayo. Classification muna tayo. Okay? Take note that unsaturated isn't with hydrogen, but it's actually with carbon. So, I have here example video. I hope, alam ko maikli lang to. Okay.
In this video, you will learn about the homologous series of the alkanes and alkenes and their structure. Before we look at the structure of these molecules, you may wish to recap your understanding of bonding by watching our covalent bonding video. Alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons, meaning they contain only single covalent bonds between carbon atoms. A single covalent bond is a shared pair of electrons. Let us take our first alkane in the series, methane, CH4. Carbon has 6 electrons in total, 4 of these being in the outer shell. Carbon, therefore, always needs 4 more covalent bonds to be stable. In methane, the 4 hydrogen atoms have only 1 electron, and so covalently bond to the carbon atom, each sharing a pair of electrons. Methane is known as natural gas, and is often used as a fuel in homes for heating and cooking. It is also the gas released by cows by belching and flatulence, as it is produced by the fermentation of food by bacteria in their stomachs. The next molecule in the homologous series of alkanes is ethane, with 2 carbon atoms. As you can see, a single covalent bond is formed between the 2 carbon atoms, with 6 more hydrogen atoms covalently bonded to complete the molecule. Now we understand the way these molecules are bonded, we can show the next molecule in displayed form, representing the covalent bonds simply with lines. Here is propane, followed by butane. This alkane series continues and follows the general formula CnH2n plus 2. A general formula allows us to describe a series of molecules that differ from each other by a constant unit. Let us look again at ethane, using the formula CnH2n plus 2, where N represents 2 for the 2 carbon atoms in ethane. We can see that the number of hydrogens will be 2 multiplied by 2 equals 4, plus 2 equals 6. So 6 hydrogens, C2H6. Using this, we can find the molecular formula of other alkanes. For example, decade, an alkane with 10 carbons. Pause the video now and use the general formula to work out the structure of decade. You
Okay,
should have got the answer, C10H22,
Hindi ko na siya
where
pinost,
N
guys.
equals 10 for the 10 carbons. Therefore, 10 multiplied by 2 equals 20, plus 2 equals 22. 22 hydrogens. Let us look now at the homologous series of the alkenes. These are unsaturated and so contain a double covalent bond between 2 carbon atoms. Here is ethene. Since there is a double bond, there are now 2 shared pair of electrons between the 2 carbon atoms. Each carbon atom now has only 2 electrons, which covalently bond with a total of 4 hydrogen atoms, 2 on each carbon, to complete the ethene molecule. You are only likely to come across alkene molecules with just one double bond, although there can be more within a molecule. The next molecule in the series is propene. As before, there is a double covalent bond between 2 of the carbon atoms, but the other is just a single bond. We now need to fill the molecule with hydrogen atoms to ensure that each carbon has a total of 4 bonds. 2 hydrogen atoms are required at this end of the molecule. This middle carbon already has 3 bonds, and so requires just 1 hydrogen, and at this end carbon has only 1 bond, and therefore needs 3 more hydrogens. Since we now understand the covalent bonding in these molecules, let us replace the dot cross diagram with the structural formula. Here is the structural formula of propane. Pause the video now and try and complete the structural formula of butene. Here is the completed structure. Did you get it right? Here are the structural formulas of the first 4 alkenes. Pause the video again and try and complete the general formula. What is the relationship between the number of carbons and the number of hydrogens? Hopefully, you got the structure CnH2n. Quite simply, there is double the number of hydrogens than the number of carbons. So, as an example for decane, the molecular formula would be C10H20. Now, at the end of this tutorial, you should have a better understanding of the bonding in the alkanes and alkenes and how each homologous series follows the pattern given by its general formula.
Okay, so that is for alkanes and alkenes. Thank you. Medyo ano siya, Irish yata yung kanyang accent. Anyways, okay. So this time, let's talk about the alkynes. So the alkynes has triple bonds, and take note that the general formula is CnH2n minus 2. Okay, kung kanina si alkenes ay may 2n, ngayon babawasan pa natin siya ng dalawang hydrogen on both side ng triple bond. Kasi yung isa pong yon will be adding to the bonds that are between the two carbon molecule or the two carbon elements. Okay? Again, it's the same thing. Identify where your triple bonds may be located. At tama yung sinabi kanina doon sa video that merong mga compounds na may double bonds. Dalawang double bonds. Meron pa nga tatlong triple bonds. Meron pa nga yun eh. Meron kami yung alternate na tinatawag. Pwede siyang isolated, dulo-dulo yung mga double bonds. Tapos pwede din consecutive, okay? So that's how we actually have samples of double bonds in alkenes. Now for alkynes, yan ang tatandaan natin. Ayan. I just inserted this for a little bit relaxing ano. According to chemists, why is the world so diverse? Okay? Because it's all made up of all kinds of people. Okay? So, yun lang. Pamparelax lang. Minsan pag may time ako, I'll try to share more of mga memes ng chemistry na nakikita ko. Katulad kanina, yung shinare ni Rika. Natawa talaga ako ng wagas. Rika, andyan ka pa ba? Diba, umaga-umaga.
Ma'am. Sorry po.
Di okay lang, natutuwa naman ako do'n, pero hindi naman siguro kami gano'n katindi yung biochem 'no. Pero ano, totoo 'yun, medyo if you haven't gone through biochem, mamaniin niyo na lang yung ibang subject. Anyways, yan. So here is our second learning check. So give naman yung molecular formula of the two compounds, propyne and butane. Okay? Suppose na lang po. Sabay nyo na ilagay ha. Para isang tingin na lang ako pag nag-check. Okay, go guys. Okay, propyne and butane. Molecular formula. Ano pa nga ulit yung molecular formula? Yan, I'm reviewing your answers as you post. Okay, I guess everybody has already posted. So the answer is, let me just write it up on screen na lang. Hindi ko pala nailagay yung sagot. Okay, so this is, okay, wait lang. Okay, so that is C3H6. So if you're going to count this, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So hindi siya 6 but C4. Okay. And then for butane, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, C4, 1, 2, 3, so H6. Okay. Okay. So yan. Any questions so far? Gets naman? Laban pa? Very clear?
Gets po.
Gets. Good, good, good. Okay. So this time, let's talk about dienes, dienes, and the others. So, yan, no? I'm dying. Ito, dapat ito ang mga pinapost mo, Rika. Before organic exam. Ngayon, after organic exam, I'm dying. So, yan. So, these are your unsaturated that have multiple unsaturation points sa tinatawag natin. Now, take note again, identify where your double bond or triple bond is going to be located. And take note, you place a die or a try depending on the number. So, pag die, okay, so pag die, it means 2. Pag try, it's 3. 4, tetra. 5 is penta. So, depende yan. Okay? Wala tayo, kumbaga lang, midterm lang tayo. Midterm and finals lang kayo pag ano, pag hindi makakahinga. Okay? So, yan. Kalma lang. Relax lang. Okay. So, here, for this one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Sige. For this one, it's 4 carbon. So, therefore, it's C. Huwag na natin, hindi ko na siya ipapa-learning check kasi nakadalawa na tayo. Medyo marami-rami pa tayong pag-uusapan. Okay, so it's 4 carbon. So, C4. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, it's H6. Okay. Now, take note there is a double bond. Dalawang double bond. So, usually, we start counting the number or the position of the carbons. Pwede tayong from left to right or from right to left. So, pwede tayong 1, 2, 3, 4. Pwede din tayong sa taas magsimula o from right tayo magsimula. So, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, since pareho lang siya, if we go start from the left, you start with 1 and another 3. Kung galing ka sa right magbilang, you also start with 1 and then the other one will be 3. So, paano natin siya ina-name? So, usually for naming this, get the number of carbons inside the compound, place the necessary prefix. So, it's buta for 4. So, buta. Then, dalawa yung yung ethene mo or yung alkenes mo or yung double bonds. So, it's gonna be diene. Okay? And then, lagay mo yung position. So, buta 1, 3 dash diene. So, that is the name. Buta 1, 3 diene. Okay? So, yan po yung magiging pangalan niya. Okay? Question so far, guys? Clear. Rika, question.
Ma'am, tama po ba yung pagkakarinig ko? Kahit saan po mag-start magbilang, kahit sa left or right po,
Pwede ka, yes.
same pa rin naman po yung output.
Yes. Kung pareho lang yung output, walang problema. Pero, kung if the output will give you the lowest set of numbers, that's the time mamimili kayo. Okay? So, later on, may kita nyo more example. Winchor, you were raising your hand.
Saan nga po ulit ka lang yung 1 trip po?
Yung 1 po is based on the position here. So, dito, kung ako dito ako nag-start nagbilang, so ito yung 1, first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon. So, kung from the left ako, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Pero kung the right, ito yung 1, 2, 3, 4. Pero regardless, since we're just talking about 4, kahit saan kang direction, you'll still get the 1, position ng carbon number 1 and carbon number 3 for the set of numbers. Okay ba, Minchor? Okay, Rika, okay. Kung may, saan po na ako Yes, that's correct. Yung carbon, kung saang carbon naka-connect, yung hindi po yung 18, Rika, it's the double bond. So correct natin yung term na ginamit mo. It's where to which carbon your double bond is connected to. Okay? Hindi po yung 18. Kasi yung 18 yun yung number ng carbon na may double bond. Okay? So again, it's a number, it's a position of the carbon to which your double bond is connected. Okay? So yan po. So let's say ito naman, lagyan natin ng isa pa. Usog ko lang konti to, burahin ko na to. Okay. So let's have C, C. Yan ang ginagawa namin. Ito, double bond. Double bond. Okay. Then place all, fill it up with the number of hydrogens. Yan. Paano bilang natin? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tapos, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3. Then 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So, dito, saan tayo mag-start na magbibilang? So, again, mag-label kayo. Kung dito tayo from the left, sige, from the left, sa baba ko ilalagay. So, this will become 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, that is 5 carbons. So, kung dito naman sa the right, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5. Okay. So, identify saan position. So, if we're going to use sa baba, from the left, ang numbers natin is 2 and 4. Diba? But if we're going to count from the right, it's gonna be numbers 1 and number 3. Okay? So, based on that one, sure John, ano ang pipiliin mo? Saan ka magsisimulang magbibilang? Sa from the left or from the right?
From left po.
From the left. Okay? From the left, sigurado ka. Ito, left ng screen. Ito yon. Nandito tayo. Dito ka magsisimula. Pag dito ka nagsimula, yung values mo ay 2 and 4. Okay? How about sa nagsasabi, sa right ma'am ako magsisimula? Kasi right siya eh. Okay? Sino nagsasabi na sa right tayo kumuha? So, Rainier, Nicole, okay. Jabi, bakit ka sa right pupunta? Bakit sa right ka magsisimulang magbilang? Jabi.
Mas mababa po kasi.
Okay. Kasi po, yung number ng coefficients mo will start of 1 and 3 instead of starting with 2 and 4. Yun yun. Okay? Kaya pag pinangalanan ninyo to, this will become, di ba, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, penta, to identify the number of carbons, 1, 3, diene. Okay? So, penta 1,3-diene. So, it is following the lowest set of values. Okay? So, yan. Thank you, Robina, for providing also the answer. Okay? Yes, Rika, question.
Ma'am, clarify ko lang po, yung after po ng, 'di ba po, dash 1, comma 3, dash po ba siya or comma po ulit?
Dapat dash siya. Sorry naman. Dash
Okay.
siya. Okay? So, yan. 1, penta dash 1, 3 dash diene. Okay? Any other questions, clarifications, violent reactions? Yes, Mary Claire, Asuncion, kung saan po yung mas mababang coefficients. Yun po ang kukunin natin. No problem. Okay? So I think it's clear now. We can now move on to the next slide. Okay? 27 pa tayo, guys. Nasa 27 pa lang tayo. We still have Chanan. Ilan pang slide natin? That is a total of marami pa. Anyways. Wag na natin bilangin. Let's not count it anymore. Okay, next one is branching hydrocarbons. Now, when you say branching hydrocarbons, you're referring to hydrocarbons that are not part of the main group. Okay, parang ano siya, umusbong na tigyawat. Yan. May umusbong na daliri or umusbong na bias, paa at saka kamay. Okay? So usually you call it as alkyl groups, okay? So it's actually either an alkane, alkene, alkyne. Yun nga lang, instead of ending it with just A-N-E, E-N-E, Y-N-E, you end it with Y-L. Okay? Kaya nga, in this example, CH3 is methyl, which is originally a methane, which is CH4, minus 1 hydrogen. So, yan ang itsura niya. So, you have your carbon. Dapat apat yung hydrogen niya. Kaya lang, since sinanggal natin yon, this is now your methyl. Okay? Dapat yan, tatakpan ko yung pagkatapos. So, ito yung example nun. So, ito yung mismong parent chain, okay, or yung main compound, and this is your branching hydrocarbons na. Okay? Yan. Next is ethyl. So, this is similar to ethane minus 1 hydrogen. Okay? So, yan po. Ito yung itsura niya. So, si ethene, tinanggalan ng isang hydrogen. Then, this is propyl. So, propane minus 1 hydrogen. Okay? So, yan. So, ito po yan. Okay? So, propane, tinanggal natin to. Ito na siya. So, propyl. Later, may papakilala ko sa inyong isang propyl na ginagamit natin para ma-disinfect ang ating mga kamay. Okay? So, yan. Next learning check. Yan. Madali na to. So, given that you have this parent chain, ito yung parent chain. Walang ibang nakakabit. What is the name of the branched hydrocarbon? Okay? Given the formula that you are looking at right now, what is the name of that hydrocarbon that is in circle? Go. Oh, wala, hindi ko nasagutan. Okay? Ano yung name po? Post na lang po. Yan. Walang question mark? May question mark pa, Jamie. Again, isa lang ang carbon natin. Pero instead of having a hydrogen beside that particular carbon in question, meron kang another carbon, making this as side a side chain na tinatawag. Okay? And I mentioned that this is the main main hydrocarbon. Okay? So the answer is methyl. Okay? So sulatan ko lang. Okay? So yan. Now, in naming branch hydrocarbon, again, the rule is identify the longest chain and name it as a parent chain. So, for then find the address of each branch. When you say the address, ito yung carbon number position. Is it carbon number 1? Carbon number 1? Carbon number 2 ba siya? Yan. Okay? Then count the numbers in each branch. Then name the branches by adding a prefix, using suffix, so dapat suffix. Suffix. Hindi, tama. Using the prefix ending with YL. So, kung ilan yung carbon number mo, yun yung magiging prefix niya. Okay? So, 2 carbon will be called as ethyl. Okay? Na kung pare-pareho kayo na marami kayong ethyl or marami kayong methyl, you use a prefix to indicate the number of prefix or number of side chains of the same kind that you have there. Pwedeng di, tri, tetra. Okay? Then you just have to identify also kung saan yung position. Again, i-apply nyo ulit kung ano yung position niya. Okay? So here, so for this one, ang tanong dyan, focus muna ang letter A. Dito muna tayo sa letter A. Okay, dito. So, asaan ang parent chain natin? How many carbons is our parent chain? Yes, Aubrey.
8
Kati
po.
okay,
8
8.
carbon.
8 carbons. So, kung may 8 carbons ka, tapos ito ay lahat single bonds, ano ngayon ang iyong main chain? It is a 8 carbons na single bonded. Anong pangalan niya? Sige, Katinoy.
Heptane po.
8 8. 8. Main chain mo, sabi mo kanina, is 8, di ba?
Octane po pala.
Octane. Okay, octane. And then, kung ito yung ating parent chain, ito na ngayon yung branch natin or yung side chain. Now, ilan ang carbons ng ating side chain? Yes, Lobos.
Dalawa po.
Okay. Kung dalawa siya, Miss Lobos, if you can still answer, what would be the name of this side chain? Remember, single bond siya.
Ethane po.
Ethane o ethyl?
Ethyl po pala since kulang po siya ng hydrogen.
Yes, that's correct. Take note of that rule, ha? Pag naging side chain siya, hindi na siya mag-end sa ANE. It will end with YL. Okay, so this is ethyl. Now, ang tanong, nasa ang carbon nakakabit si ethyl? Ang tingin ninyo again is dito sa mahaba. Nasaan siya nakakabit? Yes, Miss Tadefa.
Sa 5 po.
Okay. So, lalagyan nyo siya dito ng 5-ethyl octane. So, buuin natin to. Okay, burahin natin. Pag sinulat nyo siya dyan, it's gonna be 5-ethyl octane. Okay? So, that would be the name of your compound. Okay? Gets? Questions, violent reactions before we move to the second compound in the picture? Okay, I guess none. Thank you for confirming, ladies and gents. So this time, for letter B, ano ngayon ang ilang carbons ang ating parent chain? Miss Gapasin.
8 din po, ma'am. So, octane din po.
Are sure? Are you sure? Miss Borilia.
Same lang po.
Same din. Kathleen.
9 po, ma'am.
Ayan, no.
nonane po.
Yes, that's correct. Ayan, no, 9. Guys, again, inspect first. Huwag kayong muna tatanong, ito na yung sagot. Paano kung mali? Ay, mali. Parang boom, boom, 5 yan. Check muna. Okay? So, yan, no? Nakita may 9, tapos may 8, tapos sinagot pa rin si 8 kasi ito yung nakikita niya. Remember, the longest chain may curl, may go left, go right, go up and down as long it's a long continuous chain. Okay? As long as it is mahaba, siya ang parent chain. Okay? Kaya kailangan hahanapin nyo yung walang putol na parent chain. So for this one, ano siya, itaas. Kaya siya pa rin yung longest chain natin. Okay? So sabi nga kanina, it's nonane. So sulat na natin siya dito. Nonane. Nonane. Okay? Nonane. Kasi 9. Then, given that this is now our side chain, ilan ang carbon ng ating side chain? Let's call Norhana. Ngayon ka lang ulit nakita.
3 po.
3. And that would be what name now, Norhana? Ha?
Propyl.
Propyl. Okay.
Propyl.
Okay. Okay. So, and then, let's call Althea. Thank you, Norhana. What would be the position of the propyl? Althea.
Yung profile po, kung saan po nakakonect?
Opo, saang carbon siya nakakonect?
Sa 5 po.
Okay, so thank you. That's 5 propyl. Wait lang pa. Ayusin natin maayos. 5. Okay, that's 5-propyl nonane. Okay, so that's how you write it down. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Mr. Defa and Jabi for writing. Nicole as well. Thank you for writing the correct answers also in the in-call messages. Okay, so I guess this is quite clear, no? So let's move on. Okay, so this time, yes, Mr. Raagas, question.
Ma'am, pag isusulat po ba ma'am, may space po between yung propyl and nonane po or
Yung
magkadikit po?
magdikit na lang siya, hindi ko lang na ano, eh, hindi ko na natantya, pagpasensyahan niyo na. Yung iba magkadikit, yung iba may space, pero sa akin naman basta tama yung spelling, walang problema sa akin, may space o wala, tatanggapin ko, okey? Pero yung iba pinaghihiwalay yan, eh, depende kung saan kayo tumitingin na libro, okey? Thank you. Okey ba, Mr. Agas?
Yes po ma'am, thank you po.
Okay, so let's have this learning check. So madali lang 'to. So we already have started with the naming with side chains. Now this time, what will be the name of this compound? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yan, 6 na siya. Yun ang giveaway doon, 6. Tas ilan ang side chain natin? Isa lang. Okay? Okay. So your answers. Okay, so your answer now is 3-methylhexane kasi dito siya nagsimula. So number 1, just change the screen input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kung dito kasi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So maglalaban ka either 3 or 4. So syempre, choose the lowest score. Okay lang kahit walang space, Miss Lobos, tatanggapin ko. Okay, and then this one is only one carbon, therefore it is 3-methylhexane. Okay? Okay, so what's important is that you were able to understand that particular part. Okay, very good guys. Ganda yung ano nyo. Okay, so next, let's move onward. Yan. So ito, another learning check. So what is the longest continuous chain of carbons? Ano yung kanyang longest chain? Okay? So, in-call messages. So, alam nyo naman yan. Wala akong nilagay na hydrogen, pero wala rin ako nilagay na side chain. So, what would be the name of this compound? Wala siyang, hindi ko na nilagay yung hydrogen, pero nakikita na single bonded siya. Okay? So, go. Start. What will be the name of the compound? Isa lang yan. Okay, so the answer is butane. Kasi nga, 4 carbons, single bonded, wala tayong ibang side chain, wala tayong ibang attachment. It's just butane. Okay? So here is actually the summary of the prefix and the name of the compounds based on the type of bonds that is present. Now, take note, si methane lang po ang may single bonded na single carbon. The rest needs to have starts with ethane, dalawa para mag-exist. Okay? So yan po. So you have ethane, ethene, ethyne, propane, propene, propyne. Yan, pinag-aralan namin. Ganyan nagre-remember dyan. Hexane, hexene, hexine. Yan. Okay? So yan po. Yes, Sir Agas.
Ma'am, I have question po ulit, ma'am. Ma'am,
Hmm.
paano po yung magiging meaning niya po pag dalawa po yung nakakabit po as side chain po?
Sabi kanina na you have to identify, eto na, pupunta na tayo do'n, wait lang. Basta identify yung position, arrange in alphabetical order, and make sure you have the correct side chain name, okay? Let's say kung dalawang methyl, di dimethyl. 'Pag tatlo yung methyl, trimethyl. 'Pag magkaiba, they identify the name of the side chain. Methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl, gano'n. Okay? So we will actually be going into it now, right now, Mr. Agas. Okay? So, yan po. So, how do we name it? So, yan. So, for example, hydrocarbons are not are straight. They have sometimes attachment, and this is how it's going to be named. So, for this one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. May isang methyl, dalawang methyl, isang ethyl. Okay? So, yan. So first, find the longest continuous chain of carbon. So for this one, ito pong nasa taas. Bakit hindi po yung sa baba? Kasi kung bababa tayo, you'll only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you're going to choose the upper one, yung straight chain sa taas, you'll have 7. Again, the objective is to have the longest continuous chain. Okay? So yeah. Then next step is number it. Label your carbons in the parent chain. This is actually going to help you in identifying the position later on. Okay, so given that all of the carbons in the chain, in the mother chain or in the parent chain are single bond, therefore, it is going to end with A and E. Okay, and since 7 yung carbons natin, therefore, your parent chain is heptane. Okay, so yan. Now, step 2, identify your subgroups, okay, or your side chains. Okay. So again, start with the end that will give you the smallest set of numbers. Okay? So saan tayo magsisimula? Kung dito ka magsisimula, you'll be having from if you're going from the left, you're gonna have the numbers 1 to 7. Your side chain will become 4, 5, and 6. And if you're coming from the right, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So ngayon ang tanong doon, ang pinili natin dyan is from left to left kasi you'll start with 2, 3, 4 instead of starting with 4, 5, 6. Pinakamababa. Okay? Para wala masyadong interest. Pinakamababa tayo. Okay? Then, add the numbers to the names of the groups to identify their position in the names. So, yan. So, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? And then the number of the prefix to the parent chain. For example, the positions are dalawang methyl, ethyl. Okay? So, asan nakaposition yung orange na ethyl? Nakaposition siya sa number 2. Yung pangalawang methyl yung first methyl is orange and nakaposition siya sa carbon number 2. And then, yung second na methyl is in carbon number 3. And the fourth side chain is ethyl, which is positioned on carbon number 4. Okay? Now, so again, take note, from ethane, magiging ethyl. Okay? Yan. Now, if in case it appears multiple times, you use the proper prefix. Pag di, twice, tri, thrice, or 3 times, tetra, 4, 5 for penta. So for this one, it has 2 methyl groups. So pwede na natin silang pagsamahin. Paano natin pagsasamahin? You use a prefix. So it's gonna be named as dimethyl. And then list the alkyl groups in alphabetical order. So syempre, mauuna si dimethyl bago kay ethyl. Okay? Kasi nga, hindi natin kinonsider yung ethyl. Ang kinonsider natin is the whole name itself. Ma'am, sabi, ma'am, methyl is nasa letter M, mas nauna si ethyl. Oo nga, pero nilagyan natin ng D sa harapan. Kaya magiging dimethyl siya. Okay? So use punctuations, use commas to separate numbers, hyphens to separate numbers with words. okay, or from words. So the whole name of the compound is gonna be 2,3-dimethyl 4-ethyl heptane. Okay? So Mr. Agas, this actually is your question. Tama?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Did this address your concern?
Yes po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, no problems. Questions, clarification, guys? Violent reactions? Okay, none. Thank you, Reina, for confirming. Yan. So, for this one, ay, wait lang yan. Binigay ko na, nasimulan ko na. For this one, you have 6 carbons for the parent chain, 6 bonds, single bonded. So, it's gonna end with A and E. So, the parent chain is hexane. Yes.
Ma'am, paano po pang magkatapat po yung dalawang side chain po, ma'am?
O di, wait lang, pumunta tayo doon. Pag magkatapat,
Sige po,
tapos ko
ma'am.
lang to. Okay? So, hexane siya, and then, yan. So, if you're going to identify the position, so from right to left tayo, or from left to right. Okay? Methyl and methyl, dalawang methyl natin. Ay, sorry. So, that's 2 methyl and 3 and 4 methyl. Okay? So, the name would be dimethyl hexane. Actually, guys, dun sa kanina, it's gonna be from left to right, not right to left. Okay, baliktad. Ay, tama, right to left pala. Sorry, nagkamanagulan na ako. Right to left, tama, tama. Kasi mas mababa yung set of numbers. Okay? Now, yung kanina yung example, let me just go back to the screen. Paano po kung pareho sila? Let's say, instead of having this one, meron pa siyang isang CH3 dito. Okay? So, sabihin na natin, wala ito. Okay, wala na to. Okay? So, dalawa yung CH3 dito. So, ang mangyayari lang dyan, Mr. Agas, is the same thing. You still have to identify the position. So, saan nakaposition yung isang methyl? Di ba sa number 2? So, hindi na po siya dimethyl, but it will become as 2,2,4 trimethyl hexane. So, that is how it's gonna be named now. So, ganun din. Identify the position and ano yung proper prefix. Okay? So, you're gonna take it as an individual. I think that's what you're referring to, Mr. Raagas. Tama ba?
Yes. Yes po, ma'am. Thank you po, ma'am. Sagot ko
Okay.
po.
Thank you. Okay? So, yan. So, dito naman, if you're having double bonds, you choose the number that is closest to the bond itself. Okay? So, for this one, it's gonna be 3, 4, 2 pentene ang inyong pangalan. Bakit? Kasi for this one, priority will be given on the position of the double bond. Okay? In the IUPAC system, number 1, yung position, yung double bonds. Basta nasa taas siya. Pangalawa lang yung functional or pangatlo, pero ito yung order niya. Okay, double bonds, functional groups, and then yung side chains. Okay, so for dito, so si pentene, hindi tayo dito nag-start, hindi nagkataon lang na nandiyan siya majority, pero ganun pa rin. We still prioritize carbon number 2 instead of carbon number 3. Kung dito kasi nagsimula, it's gonna be 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Pero kung dito, it's 1 and 2. Okay? So this time, it's gonna be the opposite. You're going to draw the structure. So given the compound here, you have there, the given is 3-ethyl hexane. Now, I think it's in the PowerPoint. Okay? So, i-draw nyo muna yung parent chain. So, draw the number of carbon atoms. So, you have 6. Okay? And then, nasa ikatlong carbon daw si ethyl. So, hanapin si ikatlo. So, single bond nga pala dahil hexane siya. Single bond. Ito ngayon yung position ng third carbon. Ilagay nyo ngayon si ethyl hexane. Oh, mag-react agad. Ma'am, ano yan? Ba't si H2? Ayan po, meron pa ethyl yan. Hindi pa kompleto si ethyl. Okay? So, yan po yung kanyang magiging formula. Then fill up the necessary bonds and hydrogens. Okay? So, hindi na natin nilagay. Understood na yun. Okay? So, yan po. Okay. So, dito, you have 2,2,4 trimethylpentane. So, ito yung actual halos yung example kanina. So, you have there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons. Then, you have dalawang methyl sa number 2. Yan. So, single bonded. Yan. So, ayan yung sample natin kanina ni Mr. Agas. Yan. Okay. Now, this time, these are isomers. Now, when you say isomers, you're actually referring to same molecular formula but different structural formulas. Okay? Nagkataon lang sila, uh, iba yung, nagkataon na pareho lang sila ng molecular formula pero iba yung arrangement nila. Okay? So, here is an example. Okay? So you have 1 propanol or N-propanol, and the other one is 2 propanol. Okay? So what would be the molecular formula? Now, ano nga ulit yung molecular formula? Molecular formula refers to the number of carbons or number of elements on each that are available inside the compound. So dito, ano po yung kanyang molecular formula? Ano ba yung mga elements na nasa loob? Okay, so answer po, learning check. Go po. Magkaiba ba yung kanilang molecular formula? Isa lang yung molecular formula nila. It just so happen that the other one is position. Yung isang functional group niya ay nasa ibang position. Okay, so the formula, so just identify, ano ba yung elements niya? You have carbon. Okay? So you have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay? So you have there 3 carbons. Ilan ang hydrogen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Then isang oxygen. So ganoon din ba sa kabila? Check natin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? So that is the same molecular formula. Okay? So let's move on. Now, you have cyclical hydrocarbons. So, you say cyclical hydrocarbons, yung dalawang dulo nag-meet. Okay? And usually, they start with the word cyclo. So, you have their cyclobutane, cyclopentane. Okay? And if you're going to do the type of yung formula natin na skeletal formula, you can actually write it as this way. Okay? Cyclohexene. Now, kaya cyclohexene siya because it's a ring and then you have the presence of a double bond here. Kaya ending niya is XENE. Then here is triple bond. Kaya nga cyclooctane ang pangalan niya. Okay? And one of the important ring structures that we will be talking about is the benzene. Okay, so this is having a formula of CnH2n minus 6. Therefore, each of the carbons inside the cyclical ring is has only one hydrogen and meron kang tatlong double bonds inside. Now, the term here is that the electrons resonate between bond sites, giving it a more strength to all bonds. When you say resonate, guys, ito yan, oh, di ba? Yung bond na to, pwede kasi siyang maglipat. Okay? Yan. Since meron kang tinatawag na what we call alternate double bonds, pag pwede siyang gumalaw, kumbaga meron kang space to move around. Parang ano, yung parang nasa ano ka 'pag 'di ba nung pandemic, alternate yung upuan ninyo, hindi kayo tabi-tabi kahit na gusto niyo magtsikahan ng mga beshi niyo, you cannot, sit beside your friends. Kahit saan kami magpunta, kahit sa GSIS, merong space 'pag sisitahin ka nung guard, "Ate, may pandemic pa, hiwalay, hiwalay, space po, space." Yan. Given that you have space, you can move around. So, ganun din si double bond. And we call this as the pi electron delocalization. Okay? Yan, pi electron delocalization. We say delocalization, it can to move around. Kaya if you will notice here, our benzene has the piatos with the ring inside it. Okay? Piatos na hindi naman nakakahilo, grabe ka naman Rika. Again, do not wag niyo naman takutin ang sarili niyo, nagkakaroon ng resistance sa utak 'yan, okay? Now, usually branches or functional groups are often attached to the ring, okay? So, ito po yung position or locations. So, ang nangyayari diyan is ito yung reference point natin. Ito yung reference. So, basta katabi ng dalawang reference, actually dalawa yan. It's either ito or ito. Hindi pwedeng sabay. Laging isa lang. Okay? So, kung ito siya, ortho pa rin siya. Plus dito, ortho. Tapos, kung may isang pagitan, you call that as meta. Ito naman para kasi opposite na siya. So if this is silene, so you have there two methyl inside a benzene ring, you call it as as silene. So ito si O-silene or what we call orthosilene, this is M-silene, okay, or metasilene o ito yung P-silene. And then you have also naman, if I'm not mistaken, you also have what we call the cresol. Cresol is methyl and hydroxide. Okay? Tama, check natin. Okay, yep, it is. Yeah, it's hydroxide and methyl. Ang hinaibahin lang nila is that the hydroxide becomes the reference, and then the other one is your side chain. So, kunyari kung ito yon, ano ba yan? Drawing ba yan? Ano ba yun? Nakakahiya. Kakahiya. So, yan. So, here, eraser pa siya. Yan. So, OH ang reference. Ito yung reference natin. Then, pag dito, it is CH3. Okay, this is your O-cresol. Das ito yung M-cresol. Pag nilagyan natin to na, pag ginawa natin siyang OH. Then, P-cresol. Okay, yan. Pag ito naman ginawa nating OH. Okay? Ay, sorry. Tama. Ganun din naman yan. Yan. Okay, now ano to? Ma'am, ano yan? Again, some memes. Kami ni kanina ni Rika, nakita niyo yung piatos. Ito naman. Okay? Mercedes benzene. Yan. O, paradise. Kasi para dalawang dice. Okay. Last. Last na to, guys. Last na to. Last na to, pero 15 na slides pa tayo. Okay. So, ilang pang slides na tayo. Marami pa. Pero madali na yung iba kasi more on ano na lang siya, clarification, identification na lang siya. Now, these are the different functional groups. Now, aside from side chains, these are other elements that can be attached to your organic compounds or to your hydrocarbons and give a different name. So, you have amines, alcohol. Take note, it is a hydroxyl. Ether, it's between oxygen. Then halogen is called alkyl halides. Then thiol, it's sulfur and hydrogen. Aldehyde, carbonyl. Ketone, nasa loob yung carbonyl mo. Ester is you have C double bond OO. Carboxylic acid is C double bond OOH. And then the amide, meron kang carbonyl with ammonia. Okay, so let's start off first with the halides. So halides is from halogen elements and you are actually gonna be using yung prefix niya. So ito yung mga common na ginagamit natin. Fluorine, magiging fluoro, chloro, bromo, and iodo. Okay? And then identify the others referring again to the pang position ni carbon atom. Okay? And then use di-tri-tetra if more than one of the same. Okay, so for example, you have here bromoethane, 2-chloropropane, 2-iodo, 2-methylpropane. Okay, paano kung sa pareho siya? Ganun ulit, Mr. Agas. Mamaya sabihin niya, Mr. Agas, ma'am, paano kung pareho siya? So, C, lagyan natin. So, CH. Then ito, chlorine. Chlorine. Lahat kinuha niya. Ayaw niya kumuha ng hydrogen. So, ganun din. So, this one is dalawang ano lang, diba? So, this is ethane. So, the name will be 1,1-dichloro, 1-iodo. Dapat merong space. Yan. So, for this one, it's 1,1-dichloro, 1-iodo, ethane. Okay? Kasi ito po, nasa carbon number 1 siya. And then, yung isa nandoon din. Bakit ma'am hindi pagsasama-samahin? Again, iba po yung pangalan niya dito. Si chloro at saka si iodo ay kaibang element kaya hiwalay din yung pagpapangalan sa kanya. Kaya 1,1-dichloro, 1-iodo. Okay? Ganyan po yung pag-name niya. So, yan. So, this is just a review of the functional group. So, you have a hydroxide or hydroxyl, carboxyl, carbonyl, ketone siya, carbonyl. The difference, both of them are carbonyl for this one. It just so happen ito terminal. Kailangan nasa terminal siya. Ito inside. Okay? Then ether, you have your oxy, carboxyl, ester. Sa ester naman, ang pinagkaiba ni ester at saka si alcohol, yung carboxyl nito kasi may hydrogen pa siya. Ito kasi inside din to. Okay? Ito nasa dulo to. Terminal. Kaya nga nung nasa terminal siya, nagkaroon siya ng hydrogen. Pero kung nasa loob siya, kapartner niya is another carbon. Okay? Then you have amines and amides. Again, take note for amines, mag-isang nitrogen lang. For amides, it's we have carbonyl also. Now, among all of this, majority of your organic compounds are either acidic, polar, and basic. So definitely yung amines are basic. And then this is acidic. Then the most of the samples here or the functional groups are already considered as neutral. Okay? So here are more example for halides. Yan. So, pag isa lang siya, chloromethane, kasi nga isa lang siya. Pero kung dalawa, dichloro, pwede nang ibitawan yung 1. Okay? Pero again, depende yan sa libro na tinitingnan nyo. Ito, ethane, 1-fluoro. Pero kung nasa loob siya, itong ginawa niya, tingnan niyo yung difference. Pareho lang halos yung sources niya. Pero again, it's what they are quite used to. Okay? Yan. Pero sa ating gawin na lang natin is, isama na natin, plano kung hindi siya nakalagay sa carbon number 1. Okay, so here are more examples. You have 1,3-dichloropropane. Okay? So, ito si carbon number 1, ito si carbon number 3. Okay, so again, INE, nawala doon sa halogen, naging fluoro na lang siya. Okay? So, saan ba ginagamit ang alkyl halides? Usually sa refrigerants, propellants, or aerosol, and for generating foam plastics like expanded polystyrene and polyurethane floats. Pwede din siyang solvent. However, the problem with CFCs, this is the one responsible for the thinning of the ozone layer. Now, the good thing about this one is that these hydrofluorocarbons, yung unang generation, refrigerant na ginagamit natin is talagang yun yung nagko-cause. Pero in later generation, they were able to come up with some organic compounds or hydrofluorocarbons that are not gonna be impacting the ozone layer anymore. Kaya medyo ozone friendly na. Okay, kaya nga yung may mga lumang air conditioning unit, pati sa kotse, yung ginagawa nila pag nasisira na po or ano na yung kotse, kailangan ma-recover yung refrigerant. Hindi siya pwedeng ano dun lang siya. Okay, kasi didiretso siyang hahalo. Um, Ngayon, yung sa refrigerant based on experience na yung mga modern refrigerants yung hindi siya yung ozone friendly na siya, okay lang na umano siya. 'Pag nag-breakdown siya sa atmosphere, it's not gonna impact the ozone anymore. Then you have also chloroethane. Ito yung ginagamit natin sa polyvinyl chloride. Okay? Then you have also tetrafluoroethene. Ito naman yung sa polotetraethylene. Ito yung mga plastics natin. Okay? Then you have alcohol. So yan. So this is actually having functional group na may OH. So again, identify kung saan nakalagay si hydroxide. And then instead of ending with A and E, it ends with all. Kaya sabi niya, ma'am, sana all. So pag sana, alcohol yan. Ibig sabihin. Then if it's more than one hydroxide, you use the prefix di or tri, making it diol or triol. So formula here is, so remember, alcohol, ROH, OL ang IUPAC ending niya. So here is butanol. Kasi this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So butane. Yun nga lang may hydroxide siya, kaya it's butanol. Then this one, it's a 2-methylpropanol kasi ito yung kanyang parent chain. Pwede ring pababa yung parent chain niya. Basta tandaan niyo meron kayong methyl at may hydroxide. So ano ngayon nangyayari dito? Ang preference natin ngayon, ito yung pangalawa na sinabi ko sa inyo kanina. Unang-una yung bond, ito yung functional group. So kung nasaan si functional group, mas malapit doon kayo magsisimula magbilang. So ito, hindi tayo nagsimula doon sa kabilang dulo. Dito tayo nagsimula kasi priority siya. Okay, so this will become carbon number 1, carbon number 2, or and then carbon number 3. Now, pareho lang naman siya. Kahit bumaba ka, you'll still get 3 carbons. Kaya, kahit saang direction, okay lang. Pwedeng diretso, pwedeng bumaba. It's still gonna be propanol. Okay? And then, the methyl is attached to carbon number 2. Kaya, 2-methyl propanol. Okay? Then, here, it's butanol. Now, pansinin nyo, it's on the second carbon. In-identify natin si hydroxide, nakalagay sa second carbon. Kaya, 2-butanol. Hindi 3-butanol, but 2-butanol. So, it's gonna be counted as starting with number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Then here is propanol, 3 carbons. Okay? This is also the same with, actually, dapat hindi ito 2-propanol. This is supposed to be 2-methyl 2-propanol kasi pareho sila. This is supposed to be 2-propanol. Now, bakit 2-propanol? Kasi ito yung ano mo, hindi. Tama. Dapat 2-propanol siya kasi ito yung parent chain mo eh. Okay? Pwede naman nasa subchain to, pero dapat ito, 2-methyl propanol. Ito yung attachments mo. Okay? So, yan. So, there are different types of alcohol. You have the primary. Okay, when you say primary, you have only 1 carbon attached to it. Then secondary, you have 2 degrees of carbon attachment. For tertiary, you have 3 carbons attachment to the carbon where the hydroxide is attached. Okay? So primary alcohol, secondary, and tertiary alcohol. Okay? So this is a monohydroxyl alcohol which is containing only 1 hydroxide. If you're going to draw it out, yan itsura nun. Now, in writing organic compounds, nilalagyan namin ng R. Kaya nga yung formula ng alcohol is ROH. R refers to the rest of the formula or rest of the molecule. Okay? So, yung long chain ng hydrocarbons ando dun sa R part. Okay. Then here examples of the naming of the alcohol. So, pag isa, it's methanol. Okay? Pag dalawa, it's gonna be ethanol. So, ito na, kaway-kaway na. Ito yung ethyl alcohol. Ito yung nasa iniinom natin sa wine. Pwede rin sa soju. Yan. And then you have propane or propanol. So from propane, it becomes a propanol. Ito yung ating, yung isomer nito, which is isopropyl, or also known as 2-propanol. Ito yung ating rubbing alcohol. Okay? And then you have butane or butanol, and then pentanol. Okay. So for this one, yung propanol, ito yung sinasabi sa inyo, yung 2-propanol. Okay, so ating ethyl alcohol. Okay, kaya siya isopropanol kasi yung N-propanol nasa dulo. Pero instead of having it here, nandito siya sa gitna, kaya nga iso siya. Similar siya halos dun sa normal propanol. Then we have your alcohol. Now, your alcohol has a carboxyl group, yung RC double bond O, OH. Okay, and this is the rest of the group. So, example of that is propionic acid. Okay, propionic acid is 3 carbon. So, that's from propanol, propane. Pag ginawa nyo siyang alcohol, it's gonna be propionic acid. Propanoic acid pala. Okay? So, yan. Tawag natin dyan is carboxyl. So, you have there examples of naming it. It's metanoic. So, isang carbon lang siya. So, ito, instead of having that one, tinanggal natin yon. Ginawa natin C double bond OOH. So, if this one, it's gonna be C double bond OOH. Yan. Ito si metanoic acid. Okay? So, ito yung mga common different names. So, ito po yung IUPAC. You have meta, tapos noic acid, eta, noic acid, propanoic acid, butanoic acid, so on and so forth. And this is the common name. So, ito yung formic acid, acetic acid, suka, propionic acid, butyric acid, valeric, capronic, ethanic, caprylic, pelargonic, and capric acid. So, ito yung mga acid. And by the way, guys, ito yung mga minimension na other acids sa vape juice. Kaya if in case you wanna go vape, sumisinghot kayo ng organic acids. Okay? And organic acids can melt down your lungs. Okay? So, pareho lang yan eh. Pareho yan. Sabi nyo, ma'am, ano yung mas maganda? Di parehong masama yun. Pag sigarilyo, nicotine naman. Kaya lang kasi, ang nicotine, mga 5 to 10 years mo mararamdaman yung sakit. Ito, based on studies and based on the chemicals na ginagamit, ano, Norhana, anong sinisinghot ni Rika? Rika, anong sinisinghot mo daw? Sabi Norhana. Ha?
Mami, show.
Hindi, pero totoo yan, guys. Hindi minimension ng ano, ng mga vape companies kung ano yung other chemicals na nakasulat doon. Pero most of the time, alam namin na, kunyari, mahilig kayo sa pineapple essence. Yan, kasama dyan. I think, if not mistaken, it's butyric acid. Pinapakuluan ako butyric acid ng matagal-tagal na ano. Ayan, o, tama. Mag-white flower ka na lang. Sige, white flower, okay lang yan. Kahit ma-addict ka dyan sa white flower, hindi ka mag-ano. O kaya Vicks. Walang kamatayang ethyl alcohol. Ano, ethanol. Okay? So, yan. Gas. Wag naman yon. Mamaya sumabog yan. Norhana, wag rugby. Nakakaano rin yan sa utak. Kasi yung, yung fumes niya is considered as carcinogenic yan. Kaya medyo, ano yan, mga aromatics, and aromatics are nakaka-high. High ka nga. High din ang utak mo. Okay? So, yan. Efficacy. Yes, Winchor, you were raising your hand.
Napindot, ma'am. Napindot po.
Napindot lang. Yan. Okay, so yan po. So hindi ko naman ina-advise na wag kayong mag-vape, pero alam ano, kaya nga if I'm gonna be asked if I'm going to, suggest vaping, no, I will not. Kasi alam namin na yung other chemicals na hindi mine-mention contains all of this. Kasi meron kaming experiment nung college na as in, alam mo yun, pinakuluan namin yung isang mixture ng mga acids na ngayon mga 3 hours, guys. Pero bago siya pakuluan, ang baho-baho nung chemicals na na-produce. Alam mo 'yun, parang ano, tae ng pusa yung amoy, gano'n kasama yung amoy ta's dumidikit siya sa katawan mo kasi organic 'yan, eh. As in, nag-stay lang kami dun sa laboratory ng wala pang 30 minutes tapos pumunta lang kami dun sa grocery kasi magpa-party kami afterwards. Talagang nilalayuan kami ng tao kasi sobrang baho nung damit namin, ng katawan namin. Kaya nagsiuwian muna kami bago kami pumunta dun sa party kasi nga sobrang baho nung ano, nung chemicals. Pero afterwards guys, ang bango nung pineapple, nung lemon, kasi ano siya, eh, those are synthetic chemicals. Okay, yan yung mga essence na inaamoy natin, yung mga pabango yan. Pinakukulaan lang yan ng 3 hours straight, magbabago na yung amoy niyan. Kaya ingat-ingat kayo sa mga juices. Okay? So, yan. So, here are examples or showing the different formulas in their what we call skeletal formula. Yan. Butanoic acid, propanoic acid, methylpentanoic acid, chloropropanoic acid. Yan. Now, if you will notice, this is beta and this is gamma. Now, ano yung ibig sabihin yan? Usually, it's based on, if I'm not mistaken, uh, methyl valeric is usually the position of your your subchain. Okay, it's based on the position of your dito kasi pag nakakabit siya dito, this is called the alpha. Pag sumunod na carbon, this is the beta. At pangatlo, this is the gamma. Okay? That's the reason why it's called the gamma because it's on the third carbon. Okay? Beta, second carbon. Now, you also might encounter this in some chemical formulas or chemical compounds that has been existing for a long, long time. Yung mga lumang-lumang style pa kasi ito ng pagniname. Alpha, beta, gamma. Pero ngayon kasi, with the existence of the IUPAC, lahat sila naka-number system na. Kaya hindi ka na mahihirapan pa. Basta alam mo kung saan ang position niya. Now, we will also be using this one. Kaya i-mention na to kasi yung beta, yung mga gamma na yan, we will be working on that one when we go to fatty acids. Okay? So, yung beta, uh, omega fatty acids, yan. Yan yung mga kasi dyan eh. Yung omega. Ano ba yun? Ano ba yung omega? I forgot ko ano yung ano sa omega. Basta, we will be talking about bakit omega fatty acids ang tawag sa kanya because of the position of the functional group. Okay? So, yan. So, here are examples of naming. Yan. So, yung 3-hydroxy pentanoic acid, 2,3 dihydroxybutanoic acid. Okay? So, in case of molecules containing carboxylic acids, aldehydes, or ketones, so it's gonna be named as oxo substituents. Okay? So, yan. So, ibig sabihin, guys, meron kang combination or may kasama si carboxylic acid. So, automatic yon yung instead of naming as aldehydes, so instead na i-name mo yung aldehydes and ketones, you just use oxo and use the number prefix or the number of carbon. So this is oxobutanoic acid. So it's 4-oxo. Kasi based on the position, this is carbon 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Then ito naman, kaya 2-oxo siya kasi nasa carbon number 2 yung pangalan niya. Okay? Then, ano naman kung amine? So it's just amino. Now, take note for this one, the amino is the one that is, um, it's still the same. Si carboxyl as carbon number 1 pa rin. Then, identify the position of the amino. So, dito, si carbon number 1, si carbon number 2, kaya 2-aminobutanoic. So, ito si 1, ito si 3. Okay, kaya 3-aminobutanoic acid. 3-aminopropanoic acid. Okay? Yan. The next one is aldehydes. Yan. So instead of ending with A and E, you stand with al. Okay? So this is a terminal hydroxide. So the common aldehyde is methanol or also known as formaldehyde. So this is one carbon aldehyde and we use that for preservation of animals. Okay? Yan. So ito po yung formula. Double bond O, then H. Yan. Yun yung bond ng carbon. Now, kung ito naman, palitan natin to ng R. Okay? Or the rest of the compound. Then the other one is ethanol or acetaldehyde. Okay? Okay. So here are your uh, common alkanes and their corresponding carboxylic acids and aldehydes. So take note of the name. So from methane, and this is actually, yeah, acids and base, alkanes and carboxylic acid. So you have uh, formic acid, this is aldehyde, and then you have methanol, okay, for aldehyde here. So from ethane, ethanol, common name is acetic acid, acetaldehyde. Okay? Then benzyl carboxylic acid or benzene carbaldehyde. Yan yung name niya. Then common name is benzoic acid and benzaldehyde. Okay? Painkillers 76 size, o tama Rika. Sandali na lang 'yan. Actually ano na lang 'to, information na lang 'to, 'yan. Hindi na tayo magfo-form ng ano, basta ang importante natin dapat gagawin niyo or ma-achieve niyo for the day is just be able to identify what type of organic acid is that or what type of functional group, be able to name some of it, yun lang. Okay? And wala po tayong traditional test paper dito or traditional na quiz sa TBL. For this activity, you have to go to Kahoot. Okay? Dalawa po yung Kahoot games. It's open until Monday next week. Okay? And then you have to answer it afterwards. So please get the best answer for that one as long as it's open. Okay? Baka mamaya hindi nyo makuha yung tamang sagot. Okay. So usually this is just showing how we create aldehydes. So it's actually a constant oxidation of alcohol. So yung alcohol, pag inoxidize mo, will become methanol. Okay? So yan po yon. So that is ROH, oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agent, ibig sabihin yan, will become RC double bond OH. Yan. Okay? Plus H2O. So this is oxidation. So aldehydes, yan. Yan, hindi na kailangan identify nung position ng aldehyde because it's always gonna be carbon number 1. Again, yan. So pansinin niyo nasa dulo, 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 dulo. Yan. Methylbutanol, propanol, ayan, tingnan meron pa. Formaldehyde, casualdehyde. Then ketones, eto naman. It's carbonyl also, but again, it's in the middle. So, yan ang papansin nyo, nasa gitna. Hindi siya pwedeng nasa number 1. The moment it's positioned in carbon number 1, it's no longer considered as ketone, but an aldehyde. Laging nasa gitna. Lagi siyang nasa number 2. Pwede siyang nasa number 3, but never number 1. Pang ano lang siya. Parang kabit pa. Diba? So, it's never gonna be number 1. It's always gonna be number 2. Always start with number 2. Okay? Kaya importante to use the address to identify the possession and it ends with O-N-E. Kaya nga, from A-N-E, it ends with own. Okay? So, from propane, magiging propanone, butanone, 3-methylpentanone. Okay? So, yan po. So, yan ang pagkakaiba nila. Again, emphasizing that the other should be hydrogen. Pag R na yung isa or R prime, when you say R prime, ibang grupo to. Hindi sila magkapareho. Therefore, it is a ketone already. Okay? Yan. So, the name is propanone, and this is our acetone. Okay? And this is the simplest ketone family kasi nga hindi ka pwedeng magkaroon ng dalawang carbon na ketone. It's always three carbon kasi kailangan nasa number 3 siya. So, ito ngayon ang structure ni acetone. So, yung mga hilig magkulay ng kuko dyan, from number 1 for being none, grabe ka. Sakit. Totoo yan. From number 1, naging number 2 ka na. Hindi ka na important. Ayan, wait lang. Correct ko to. Dapat to, meron siyang, ay, hindi pala siya pwedeng, may kulay. Yan. So, yan. May R prime. Why R prime again? Because it can be different from the rest. Pwedeng magkaiba sila. Okay? So, here, what would be the name here? Okay? So, ang gawin nyo lang is, count the number of carbons. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, 6 siya. Then, the position of your carbonyl group. So, the name now will be, sige, hindi ko na siya ila-learning check, guys. So, this will become, so, this is going to be, oops, hindi ko pala nasulat. Wala pa siyang sagot. So, this is going to be, let me just remove that one. Okay, so 6 siya. So, this is hexanone. And then, the NONE or yung carbonyl natin ay nasa carbon number 3. So, this is 3 hexanone. Okay? So, yan po yung name niya. So, again, just reiterating the position. Okay. Next is ether. So, ether naman is ROR. So, you have just an oxygen bridge. So, it's usually made by the process what we call etherification. You have an alcohol and another alcohol producing ether and water. So, ano yung mawawala dyan? Hydrogen, hydroxide. Kung ano yung matanggal to form water, sila yung magsasama. Okay? So, this is used for anesthesia, yung diethyl ether. Okay? So, ito po yung formula ng diethyl ether. Yan. So, ito po yung dalawang ethyl. Then, you have the oxygen bridge. Okay? So, ito yung condensed formula niya. Yan. And ito naman po ay methylene, dimethylene ether. Okay, dalawang methyl, dimethyl ether. Yung common niya is dimethylene ether eh. Okay. So, for condensed formula for this one, so for here, kunin mo po yung isang substituent. So, you have methyl, ethyl, ether. Okay? Pero kasi 'di ba, bakit inuna ko si methyl kaysa si ethyl, kahit na alphabetical dapat siya, kasi ang rule natin dito, this will be functioning as the parent child. Okay? Kaya po siya yung nasa huli. Okay? Kaya methyl ethyl ether ang pangalan niya. Now for this one, ganun ulit. So ito yung magiging nasa huli kasi siya yung mas mahaba, ito yung magiging substituent. So this will become ethyl propyl ether. Okay? Then you have esters. So this is a reaction between organic acid and alcohol. Yung RC double bond OOR. Yan. Ito yung ginagamit for the essence of pineapple. Ito yung pampabango. Kaya pwedeng ito yung kasama ninyo dun sa other acids as well. Okay? So in naming this, punta kayo dun sa one na may ito. And this is the prefix. And then it will be as a side chain. Kaya ito, dalawang carbon, this will become ethyl. And then, the other half, itong part na to, ang pangalan niya is going to be uh, ethyl wait, yung dulo niya. Okay, kaya magiging pangalan niya is from propane, which is 3 carbon, will become propanoate. So if you combine this all together, it's gonna be ethyl propanoate ang pangalan niya. Okay? Pag dinrowing nyo, pag pentanoate naman, so ito po yung pinakamahaba, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, add na necessary hydrogens. Then sa kabila, si ethyl. Okay, so ito po yung formula ni ethyl ethanoate na which is found in our apple. Okay, now next is amines. Now, amines has a functional group of nitrogen, okay, derived from ammonia. So, yung dulo niya is gonna be ending with amine. Okay, so ito ngayon, methylamine. So, pag ethylamine naman, 3 carbons, yung ethyl, and then samahan nyo lang ng amine. Yun na yun. Okay, and this is kind of poisonous. Then the amides, ang pagkakaiba ng amines sa amides is that yung amines walang carbonyl, amides with the D. Meron siyang carbonyl na kasama. Okay? So the same then magniname, instead of ending with ene, ending ninyo is amide siya. So again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 carbon. So this is propanamide. Okay? Yan lang. Yan din lang yon. Just count the number of carbons and then pag nakita nyo may carbonyl at ammonia, amide na siya. Okay, instead of saying propane, propanamide siya. And this one, same it's 4 carbons. So 1, 2, 3, 4. May carbonyl and may amide. So it's butamide. Yan. This is actually used as is available in silk. And ito yung ginagamit sa Kevlar, which is ginagamit sa bulletproof vest. And then nylon. Okay? So in terms of reactions, you have replacement. Example is halogenation. Again, halogenation only happens for single bonds. It's a different reaction if it's going to be interacting with double bonded or triple bonded organic compounds. Okay? So an example of this one is butane plus bromine will produce bromobutane. Tapos meron kang hydrogen bromide. Okay? So yung isang bromine sumama dun sa isang hydrogen, tapos sila yung natira, sila ngayon na nagsama. Okay? So yan. Okay, so ito, what would be the product now? Kung pinagsama mo si H3 and H8. Sige, last learning check guys. What would be the product when you combine your propane with fluorine gas? Kahit yung formula lang. C3H what siya? Anong magiging compound niya? Sige, go. What would be the compound? Bata CH4 yan, Rabina. Isa lang yung binagdag natin, isa yung binawas natin, yung isa yung pinalit natin. Bakit naging H6 yan, guys? H6 ba dapat? Di ba dapat isa lang ang mawawalang hydrogen, yung isa magiging fluorine? Ba't kulang yung isang sagot mo, Rika?
Nag-send po agad. Sorry po.
Okay. O, ba't may F2? Anong F2? Baka may maging F4 yan. Magkasay, oh, baby, baby, baby. Mamaya, mapataywan tayo dyan na wala sa shishu. Okay. Isanchay, Diyos ko. So, for this one, alam ko wala 'tong sagot katulad ng ibang mga slides ko. Yan. So, may sagot pala siya, C3H7F. Okay? Shush. Ay naku. Okay. Sandali na lang 'to, malapit na 'to, guys. So, addition reaction is just removing the double bonds hanggang umabot kayo ng single bond. So, usually, meron na siyang dapat tandaan pero we'll just make it light. Just remove the double bond by adding either hydrogen, halogen, or any compound na puwede nating pantapal do'n. That is what we call saturation. Okay, we're going to saturate it. Kumbaga. Okay? So, again, alkenes and alkynes lang ang pwede kasi sila lang yung may triple bonds. But if it is if it is a single bond or an alkene, it's gonna be substitution. So, example of this one is alkene plus halogen becomes alkyl halide. So, you have ethene plus fluorine. Yeah, nawala na yung double bond as you can see here. We don't have any double bonds anymore. And then what happened is that the two fluorine gas attach itself to sa dalawang carbon na merong double bond. Okay? So making it saturated. So yan po. Okay? Then the other one is fermentation, wherein you actually break down the molecules. You need enzymes to catalyze the reaction, and it is without oxygen. It's anaerobic without oxygen. Okay? So example, this one is zymase enzyme. You have their sucrose to form now your ethyl alcohol and water. Okay, so glucose pala, and then ethanol. Okay, yan. Yung ginagamit na enzyme ng um, tawag to, ng San Miguel, kaya nga ang term nila is cerveza. It's an enzyme called cerevisiae, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So it's a saccharin, or so it means it's a sugar enzyme as enzyme zymase that tends to react to form now your ethanol. Okay. Then you have esterification. So esterification is the combination of your acid and alcohol to form ester, and pwede siyang reversible. Okay. Yan. So it's actually a reaction of base plus acid gives you salt and water. Then saponification is hydrolysis of ester in the presence of hot base, forming now glycerol. Yan. So you have, this is actually triol. So this is propane triol, propatriol, propatriol plus uh, sodium hydroxide giving you glycerol or triglyceride soap. Yan. Okay. Reverse naman nung saponification is esterification. Okay. And polymers, pagdating sa organic, you have natural, you have starch, protein, cellulose, and yung structures nila. We will be going to that one when we go to carbohydrates next week. Okay, next week. Then for synthetic, you have nylon or rayon or polymers. Okay, then polyethylene or giving you your silicon. Okay. Yan. Basic polymerization is a formation of polymers from monomers by continuous addition. Okay, so you have condensation. We just simply add more monomers to the group. Example of this one is the condensation. Yan. Ito yung sinasabi niya. And this is a formation of an ether. Okay? Then yung isa naman addition. So i-add nyo lang yan to form now your polyethylene. Okay? So when you notice ang pinagkaiba nung sa kanina is that here wala tayong oxygen sa gitna. Puro sila nakaband ng diretso. Okay? We're not gonna, I think we're not gonna go into this one kasi medyo ano na to, more on balancing na siya. Okay? Okay? So, yan po. Any questions so far, guys? Clarification? Violent reaction? Yan, natapos na tayo sa 100